What is up, my possums and my friends? We are Offensive Points, and we are going to walk you through the NFC South today. Do some team previews. I hope you guys are chilling on that off-season crack, that camp crack, as I like to call it, because it hits, you spaz out a little bit, you hit the waiver wires, you're like, holy shit, is this guy available? And you're on it. It's a fast-moving thing. It makes me feel good in the off-season, and it makes me act a little bit wonky. Drop some players I probably shouldn't drop, add some players I probably shouldn't add. But hey, at the end of the day, it's fantasy football, and that is why we're all here. As always, I am here with Josh and Billy. Josh, Billy, what is up?
Honestly, I don't think you're overreacting right now, especially in Dynasty. Because like, if you hear camp news about someone, which while I will say, like, don't drop someone. If you overreact in that way, I feel bad for you. But if you hear some camp news on Kyle Williams coming out, which to be fair, he was heavily drafted, and then who was the guy that you just picked up for the Patriots? Already forgot his name. Efton Chisholm. You hear some news out of it, dude. What does it hurt you to drop a guy you already were thinking about dropping anyway for some prospect that might actually hit? I mean, how many times have we seen it hit where it's like a guy that no one drafted, or even in rookie drafts in Dynasty where they're just sitting on the waiver wire? McCoskey Crockett or whatever his name is for Washington. That's a lot of people I still see in free agency. Like, if I heard one good story, I'm swooping him in everything. Like, I already got him in one, I'm pretty sure. And like, it's just one of those things where it's like, what if? And I already have him on my team. Now I'm happy.
Yep.
I mean, that's fair enough. I keep seeing Xavier Restrepo's name. So if he's not picked up, I'm sure he got drafted. But as an undrafted player, technically speaking, should he have been drafted in fantasy? Who knows? But he's getting
heavily targeted.
I was just gonna say he's one of those guys who like was undrafted, who was drafted, and like I think he got drafted above the one who was drafted in the third round. Like,
which is wild, by the way. Both of those guys should be drafted. But at the same time, all of the camp news from the Titans, every story has a mention of Xavier Restrepo. Of some way, shape, or form, he's in there. So I don't know.
Who's gonna be sitting? I mean, Treylon Burks gonna be sitting, and then it's just Ridley. It's just Ridley, and then these two new rookies.
It's gonna be Ridley, A.O. Manor, and the problem with Restrepo, I don't know, because they're also running him with punt coverage, so he might be a punt returner for a little bit too. Who knows? Who knows? By the time we get to August, it might be completely different. But I mean, he's all over the field doing everything in these 7-on-7 drills.
Fair enough.
Okay, well, let's talk about some news before we get into the NFC South, which is the division that we're previewing tonight. We got two pretty big stories, I would call it. We'll see, but I don't know. They're fantasy relevant, at least. The first one is the bomb that was dropped in Denver. J.K. Dobbins has thrust himself upon the RB room for the Broncos. Josh, if you had R.J. Harvey, how mad are you right now?
I'd be pissed, just all around. You drafted him in the first round, probably 9th pick, I think, is where he went. Most of the drafts were in. I even texted the group chat. I said, well, that sucks for everyone who drafted R.J. Harvey. Stock is down. And then Joe went ahead and doubled it up and doubled down for Estime. I think we're just, at this point, we talked about, I've talked about Javonte way too much. And yeah, sure, it's because I'm a homer. But he's also a really good running back. I just think that this room is destined to be a committee. Like, I'm not even super excited about drafting J.K. Dobbins. I mean, let's see where the ADP shakes out at the end of it all. But, man, this just kills any stock in any of them. Like, Estime was the number 2, and if Harvey didn't do it, he could have had a chance. And now Harvey had the, reigns the kingdom, and then now that's not looking great. And now J.K. Dobbins is coming in, and I'm sure someone out there is saying J.K. Dobbins is the one to own, and maybe he is, but I think I'm just avoiding the Broncos backfield and Jalen McLaughlin's still doing something out there. I don't know, sniffing around. So it's a tough backfield to be a part of. I mean, it's great for regular football. The Broncos are a good actual football team, but fantasy wise, there's not a whole lot of prospects on this team that I'm super interested in. At the end of the day,
that's good and bad too. I agree. The thing with J.K. Dobbins is he actually going to be healthy? I mean, lightning doesn't strike the same place twice. I know that's false, but it seems like with J.K. Dobbins, he's going to miss a couple games here and there. We have R.J. Harvey, who is a pass catching back. We haven't seen a whole lot of that with J.K. Dobbins. We know Audric Estime is not that guy. Jaleel McLaughlin, yeah, but R.J. Harvey is going to have a pass catching role. So honestly, I mean, with the 11th pick, which is where I got him in our draft, I don't hate it because you're still getting a running back that's going to get a decent amount of play right off the bat. And it falls off a cliff right after that when it comes to prospecting these rookie running backs. So I don't hate it. I think if you drafted R.J. Harvey, you're going to be fine. He's explosive. Sean Payton fell in love with him in the draft, drafted him, and J.K. Dobbins comes in more or less because they didn't like what they were seeing out of the other guys. So I agree it's going to be a nightmare. It's probably not something I'm going to invest heavily in, but I will still be drafting R.J. Harvey when the season comes around.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably draft J.K. late if he makes it late. But this Denver room as a whole, like it's really hard to get invested in any of these guys because you just don't feel like anyone's going to get like maybe they do like the hot hand theory. Maybe they have a scheme where like there's multiple running backs going at the same time to be relevant, which Sean Payton did with the Saints before. Hasn't been unheard of that they were able to get use out of two different guys. But I don't know. I feel like Harvey, you're still good because you have not only like a second option that's going to get play, but you're also getting the lead backup handcuff. So, I mean, if you have Harvey, it's not so bad, but it's just that clear path to touches was right there. And Dobbins just kind of swoops in and makes it a little bit muddier than it needed to be.
Definitely hurts.
Definitely does.
I definitely do want to say, do not sell RJ Harvey right now.
Definitely
you're selling at the lowest. I feel like everyone panic sells, right? Like they're like, oh, I'm done. I'm gonna try to get him out before people realize that they got J.K. Dobbins or whatever it is. Or, I mean, maybe someone's not really paying attention to offseason news and trying to offload the new rookie. And people probably will buy him, but I just don't think it's worth because you still got that chance. There's still that chance that RJ Harvey is the man that we all thought he was going to be whenever we realized that he had the backfield. Like, they drafted him for a reason. That was their sole path. Now they did go and get J.K. Dobbins for a reason, but that reason might not be RJ Harvey. That reason might be Estime, which was wild because there was news coming out about Estime needs to get more touches. Joe shared a story about where he was like, we need to see why, we need to see the back that we drafted, basically. So there's been some turmoil there, and it could very well be that Estime just isn't the guy that they want him to be. So let's see how this shakes out. But at the moment, I'm just tempering expectations and pretty just mad about it, like because still got a couple big veteran pieces to fall too. So this is going to be huge in these coming weeks of wide receiver and running backs.
Yeah, I mean, I would say he went from RB2 to a flex, right? Like you're probably still going to get flex usage out of him, but he's not going to be what we thought he was going to be, which is until JK inevitably gets hurt. Sorry.
Now, if both of these guys end up being 8th, 9th round picks at the end of the day, like, yeah, man, I'm going to take a shot on a flyer on them. But like, if anyone is higher than the 7th round, I'm just going to avoid. It's just not worth it to me.
I just like the only problem I have with the Broncos. I mean, we'll get into more when we do the preview for that division, but I don't see where the offense is coming from. This feels like a pretty low scoring offense to me. But so I don't even know how many opportunities we're even talking about for touchdowns here. So maybe low end, very, very much so. I don't know. I don't like Sean Payton is this offensive guru. This whole offense just does not scream tons of points every week to me right now. It feels like very we're going to win by 3 points every game kind of thing right now, and like 17-20 situation.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pieces that need to work out for them, right? Like the Mims, the Troy Franklins, like those pieces need to hit for this team to be an explosive
Vele, which apparently is still going to get play, by the way. Like that's what Sean Payton came out and said. Vele is going to be one of the starters. It looks like going into the season, which is just like we've already been through the Vele experience. We thought we were done with it, and you didn't do anything to address it, and so we're just going to try it again. Okay, cool. And I don't know, just the Sutton's bad. It's just I don't know.
If you're a Broncos fan, you got to be happy about this at the end of the day. Like this team has depth, and it's good depth as well. I mean, the light position would be.
We'll see. We'll see good depth. I don't know.
I meant good
one
depth
good
for running back
and one if you put them all together, one good running back. That's 3 different guys that you have put into one to make a good player. And the quarterback, we don't necessarily know about Bo Nix either, to be honest.
What? Oh my gosh. Okay, see now that's where I think we're wrong. We're just getting.
Were the Broncos an offensive juggernaut? Were we watching different teams last year? I don't remember them being an offensive juggernaut.
For a rookie quarterback coming in with that team and doing what he did and putting up a pretty great fantasy season as well as just a good football season. And then them going and getting J.K. Dobbins just gives you a little bit of like stack, in case R.J. Harvey was a bust. I mean, that would suck. And then you go and get Pat Bryant to add to this young core of receivers. Like, you got options, is what I'm saying. I like to say that this wide receiver room is better than a lot in the National Football League, especially past the top 2. These guys got 5 or 6 guys who can go out there and potentially be good. Like, we don't obviously know what Pat Bryant is. We don't really know what Troy Franklin is.
Disagree on that.
We're forgetting about Evan Ingram, who is going to be a stud.
And Evan Ingram.
In this offense.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's a lot of weapons on this team. I'm buying into Broncos, man.
I feel like just below the Patriots, you have this. Like this is just below. Well, like
below,
above, I guess, just above the Patriots. Patriots are the worst, and then you got the Broncos.
You think you're the second worst team in football?
Just offensively, wide receiver room, which is what I said. Yeah.
All right. Well, whatever fireball bet needs to be made, I'm taking it.
I don't know who's a worse wide receiver room.
Oh, you're talking about just the wide receiver room. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you said it's one of the good wide receiver rooms. And I was like, no, this is definitely not a good wide receiver.
For one, I was saying with depth, but at the end of the day, yeah, I could probably find some teams that have a worse wide receiver room.
The Cardinals
we just talked about last week.
What?
Okay, Marvin Harrison has not outperformed Cortland Sutton yet.
Marvin Harrison alone is better than.
No, he probably will be, but as it stands right now, he has not played better than Cortland Sutton.
I will take Michael Wilson over the wide receiver 2 for Broncos.
No.
You're taking? Who on the Broncos wide receiver room are you taking over?
Pat Bryant. Bailey's been hurt, and Pat Bryant's been playing in camp. He's getting time with the
so
one.
You just said that we haven't seen Marvin Harrison be better than Cortland Sutton, but yet we have never seen Pat Bryant touch an NFL football.
I do not like Michael Wilson. So.
Okay. All right. I just pulled up a list of teams. I'm just gonna name some that I put in the category of the Broncos. I'm not saying better. I'm not saying worse. I'm just saying in that same category. Buffalo Bills. Put them in there. Patriots, as you said. Baltimore Ravens. Make that argument. Cleveland Browns.
Raiders for sure.
No, I'm just going down a list. Steelers. Colts. Yeah, I can't say Jaguars. Not after Travis Hunter. Titans. We're talking one guy, one good guy on all these teams that we're talking about, and then nothing behind him.
Who's the bad guy on Indy? Is it Josh Downs or is it Michael Pittman?
Alec Pierce. Oh, who's the good one?
Yeah. Well, you said there's one
Pittman
good guy on
Indy.
That one actually I think is just clear cut worse than who we're talking about right now. The Titans, we have Calvin Ridley and then a bunch of no names. I can't say the Kansas City Chiefs. I'd love to, but Raiders.
Okay, whoa. So with the Broncos, you have Sutton and then Vele Mims. That's that. We're putting up Vele Mims versus Josh Downs and saying they're even. Like, what are we talking about?
You're saying that the Raiders are better than the Broncos?
I would say Jacoby Myers, yeah,
is better than Cortland Sutton.
Okay, and then what about Pat Bryant and Vele and Mims and?
I hate this conversation.
There's like 6 other wide receivers on this team.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know what Broncos receivers y'all are bringing to the table and saying, yep, these are the chess pieces to make this team go.
I said that this has depth. I said they have Cortland Sutton. They have Marvin Mims, who's one of the most underrated guys.
Every team almost has the same amount of wide receivers. So by
Pat
that logic, yes,
Troy
everyone
Franklin.
has depth. Everyone has depth because they all have
I'm not saying they have depth as in
the
bodies in the room. I mean talent. Like
I think you both just need to take a fireball shot just for the hell of it for this conversation.
Should we just do Bo Nix yardage? Like, what do we want here? I never defended Vele. You kept saying Vele. I never once said the word Vele.
Okay, but you're saying the room, which you're saying is not just a bunch of players.
Which I'm talking about Pat Bryant, Marvin Mims, and Troy Franklin, who all
we don't know anything about Pat Bryant right now. And Troy Franklin is a one-ball game catcher.
There's 5 guys. There's 3 guys who I think are great receivers already. We're gonna start with Evan Ingram, Marvin Mims, and Cortland Sutton.
Other than
Marvin Mims, Cortland Sutton, and Evan Ingram.
Receiver?
I do think Marvin Mims. He's been great for what in his small sample size. Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin.
Okay. Small sample size is generous.
Dude, I do not understand. What? How many wins do you think the Broncos are gonna get?
I mean, they're going to get a solid amount. They have a great defense. Like the defense is the
okay.
spot on this team.
What where do you think they will be in passing yards? Then, like, where can we find some common ground here? Like, you're just yelling, and
I mean, they're
over here
definitely
trying to
going to go
fireball
over
that.
4K. They might go over probably not 35.
4K passing?
Not
4K?
even 35. Less
35?
than
Okay,
35.
I'll take that. 35. Perfect. There we go. Fireball bet. Write it down.
Easy.
We're talking about the NFC South today, and somehow this is more depressing than that. So can we move on?
Yeah, dude.
I thought that was the craziest conversation we've had. One in the while.
Philly's just mad the Thunder are losing.
For all those
right
people
now.
that are new to offensive points, welcome. This doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen often.
No, I feel like we all watch football, but some of us watch it differently. I don't know. That's the only thing I'm thinking. All right. Other news story is Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers. Does that matter at all for fantasy?
Yeah.
Like, I'm having a hard time thinking about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Make your case. It didn't help the Jets. What's different about the Steelers?
No. It's just that there was nothing else besides. And now Rodgers is there. It makes everything just fine again. Like, it's the Steelers. So you're not like super overly excited. I mean, Metcalf's in the same boat. Like, we want to see Metcalf succeed. He'll probably be a 900,000 yard receiver. That's great. With Duck Dynasty, I don't know if he had the chance to even get there. I mean, it would have just been ugly. This way, it's still going to be ugly, but there's going to be peppered with targets. Look at Devontae Adams last year and all the strides he made at the end of the year. Honestly, probably won a lot of people fantasy championships, or at least got them into the playoffs. So, no, have to say it's definitely relevant for fantasy, but it's really just making it back to even, because what was on the roster is rough.
I think it brings DK back into play because, I mean, I was not drafting DK at all, but now, I mean, he's going to wide receiver 27. Now with Rodgers there, because he's going to throw the hell out of the ball to Metcalf here. So I think it brings at least DK back into play. I like it for Freiermuth. I do not trust, like Josh said, Mason Rudolph at all. So, yeah, give me Rodgers here. Get some fireworks.
Poor Will Howard, man. I hope that he can actually turn into something in the future. Maybe if Rodgers is actually willing to become a leader. That's
a scary thing to say there.
I mean, at what point do you turn 41 years old and you're still playing football and you're still making these contracts, you realize, like, man, I should probably help out the next person. And I'm doing 1-year deals to keep my career going. Like, why don't you just like make the team a little bit better after you leave instead of ending?
He's got the chip because Favre never helped him out, so he's got the chip on his shoulder.
It's such a ridiculous way of living life, by the way. Just because over a decade, almost 20 years no, not 20 years ago. How long ago was that?
That was 20 years.
In 06.
No.
He's been in the league for 20 years.
Yeah, like all that time ago. And he's still holding on to it. It's just crazy.
It's crazy. Do you think he married himself like Rodman did, or have we confirmed who he got married to?
Nope, they have not. I don't believe. Which, God, I'm
so that'd be so great if we pulled a Rodman and just saw the picture of him in a wedding dress marrying himself. That'd be fantastic.
Or like a half suit, half wedding dress, like one side and the other.
That'd be awesome. They still losing, Bill?
That's all the time I want on Rodgers.
What'd you say, Joe?
Are they still losing?
They're down by 4, and people are blowing my phone up like they've lost the game already. This is clearly insane. Well, yeah, Josh, we tried to get this podcast going sooner, but, technical difficulties getting going here.
NBA Finals.
That's why he's so touchy. I thought he was on his period.
No, I'm legitimately – I didn't even know what was going on in the game until Joe said something during that conversation. I cannot believe y'all believe in the Denver Broncos like this. I better see you all drafting.
We are not. We were talking about the Steelers, Billy.
Everybody.
All right.
No.
Billy hates the Broncos.
All right. Anyway, next news story. Nick Chubb signs a $2.5 million deal to the Houston Texans.
Wasn't going to talk about this.
I want to talk about it because this has the makings of one of the best late signings, at least. Because, I mean, we got nothing. We got dregs left at this point. There's a couple veterans who might make a splash impact here and there, maybe be able to be a coaching person. Not Aaron Rodgers, so not going to help the team out at all. But Nick Chubb, obviously the gruesome injury a couple of years back, and honestly, like, played better than I expected him to last year, coming back from that. And this Thunder and Lightning, dude, this is a fantasy football draft. You got Nick Chubb and Mixon on the same team. I never thought I'd see it. And I know we're looking at, who knows, shades of Nick Chubb at this point. But at the very least, if it can just be one good bruising run for this team when they need it most, this can be huge for them. They obviously don't believe in Dameon Pierce. They get a guy here and there in the draft. They don't really utilize him. Obviously, Mixon's great, but this gives a little insurance policy. And I love how this team's trying to build up this offense as they saw last year with all the injuries. I think this is a great signing for them. Obviously, we have no idea what Nick Chubb is at this point, but there's a chance that he's still, at least 50% of what he is, and that's still a damn good running back.
Yeah. No, I love it. His vision's still elite. The speed's gone, but I mean, Mixon, it'll be a good back to help Mixon in those short yardage areas. And then they got Woody Marks in the 4th round. So I mean, I like the way this running back room's kind of filling out here. Good for them.
Yep. Excited for Joe Mixon. It's be a fun team.
Cool. That's all I had. I just wanted to
have on that.
I really just didn't talk about Rodgers anymore. I hate that he gets the news cycle every year. It's so annoying.
I mean, I feel like we had to touch on it. I don't know. Steelers are just draft a quarterback. Come on. Do this year after year, but whatever. All right. We are on to the NFC South. This division has been a hot mess for a few years. I was looking at the current longest streaks without a playoff appearance, and of the top 7, we have 3 of the teams in this division. The Bucs have obviously been there, but the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Saints has been 5 years, I think, 6 years since they were there last. Because of Brady and Baker Mayfield, it's kind of kept them away. So, I mean, anything could look up. This might be a special year for one of these teams, but judging on the over-unders, we'll see. As usual, we'll start with what our worst team's going to be. We will skip the team that nobody picked, which is the Saints, or the Aints, as we're going to call them, and it is the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, man. Carolina Panthers going into year 2 under Dave Canales. We had a biblical situation happen last year where someone lived their life and then died and then was resurrected, and that was Bryce Young. His first 24 games of his career, I pulled some stats here. His QBR was 32.25, which sucks. He had 1 rushing touchdown, and his fantasy points per game was 8.3 fantasy points per game. That sucks. Now, the resurrection happens. In the final 6 games of 2024, his QBR doubled to 62.22. He had 6 rushing touchdowns in 6 games, and he had 21.2 fantasy points per game. So Bryce Young is currently going at the QB 24. He's 139 overall. My question is, what the hell should one expect when they are drafting Bryce Young? He's obviously got to be your second QB. There's no way you're going in with Bryce Young as your starter. But what should we expect for this team? Because it all hinges on Bryce Young, because Andy Dalton's back. He's not going to win you anything. He's a turnover machine. So this entire offense hinges on Bryce Young doing what he did the final 6 games under Dave Canales last year. It's possible. I want to see it. It's going to be a fun team to watch. I, for one, am probably avoiding Bryce Young. I would rather have someone else as a backup unless I wait way late and he drops to QB 28, 29, something like that. The running backs are going to be exciting. You got Chubb here at RB 20. He is 48 overall. Some fun stats with Chubb Aubrey. He looked great last year, 1,000 yards. He caught 43 balls last year, but he only averaged 4 yards per catch. And he only had 1 game over 20 receiving yards. So they brought in Rico Dowdle. They signed him for $2.75 million. He also had 1,000 yards with the Cowboys last year. They paid him about as much as Elijah Mitchell and Ty Johnson are getting right now. You would think that, hey, we're going to use Rico as a pass-catching guy, but he only averaged 6.2 yards per catch. So there is opportunity in this offense for one of these guys to really jump in and take over the receiving role. I don't know who it's going to be. They draft Trevor Etienne. They said he's going to be a kick returner. He could honestly be the 3rd down back for this team because, I mean, he was a decent receiver in college. I like where Chubb is going. He's going to get a lot of work. I don't know where Rico is going to factor into this. I assume it's probably going to be like a 65-35 split here with Trevor Etienne coming in sparingly. But I don't know. I'm all in on Chuba. I think he's going to have an awesome season. But we shall see. The wide receivers on this team are also absolutely fascinating, and this obviously depends on Bryce Young being good or not. But we have Air McMillan. I prefer to call him Air McMillan. We can't call him Tet anymore because his mom said you can only call him T-Mac or Nalo. I don't know where Nalo comes from, but I'm going to call him Air McMillan. He's currently going at wide receiver 27. He is going to get a ton of targets. I don't think people are on this as much as they should be. This dude is going to get probably 160 targets, 150 targets in this offense. He's drafted 8th overall, and they don't have anybody else. He is their first-round pick. He is their immediate wide receiver 1. They have Xavier Legette. He should not have been a first-rounder last year. He's fine. He's a good wide receiver 2. He's currently going at wide receiver 67. I mean, we should expect him to be a little bit better this year than he was last year, but he's already dealing with that foot injury again. He had surgery on it in February, I believe. So, and then in camp the other day, he had a shoe off and the trainers were looking at his foot. So I'm a little bit concerned there. So I'd probably avoid Legette where he's going and focus on Adam Thielen. He was wide receiver 22 during the second coming last year with Bryce Young, but he is 34 years old. So probably going to fall off at some point. I think Air McMillan's your only guy that you're looking at, which brings me to Jalen Coker, Jimmy Horn, and Hunter Renfrow. Now, Jalen Coker is a fan favorite, but guys, he was undrafted. He was then cut and then luckily re-signed to be pretty much their wide receiver 1 last year when Legette was hurt. So I don't think that screams like, hey, we want to get this guy a bunch of targets. He's fine, but he only averaged 8 points a game with Bryce last year. It's not great. He did all his work with Andy Dalton. Jimmy Horn was drafted to be a kick returner, and he is currently going ahead of Xavier Restrepo, which we talked about, Roman Wilson, and Elic Anamaner. He was a 6th-round pick, guys. I don't know. And then Hunter Renfrow, who people are also hyping up, hasn't done a damn thing since 2021. Hopefully he's healthy. I would assume he is going to be your functioning 4th wide receiver on this team. I don't know. So pretty much is Air McMillan. That's who I'm going with. And then the guy I'm really excited about on this offense is JT Sanders. He's going at tight end 29 overall. He was not ready to be a starting tight end last year, but he was kind of forced into it with Tommy Tremble's injury. Ian Thomas was hurt. Now, Tommy Tremble just had back surgery and is not going to be back until preseason. So JT Sanders is going to get a ton of opportunity with this team to establish himself as the tight end 1. And I think that carries into the season. And he's going at 211 overall. That is free. That is backup tight end territory. That is nothing burger in Dynasty. You can probably trade a 4th-round pick for him and get a starting tight end. What do you guys think about this offense?
I feel like I differ from you on a lot of things, but I'm not going to yell at you because it's the Carolina Panthers and I don't care that much. But I think so. For just to start from the top, Bryce Young, I think for one, at this moment, we have to treat this like this is where he's going to pick up where he left off. He wanted to prove that he was worth the pick that he was. They sacrificed a lot of draft capital for him, their entire future for him. And if he was a bust, he put the team on his shoulders at the end of the year. Yeah, no, they didn't make the playoffs. They didn't do anything great, but they were keeping up with the best teams in the league. So they almost beat the Eagles at one point. They almost beat a couple other good teams.
So they went 4-2.
Yeah, the coolest thing about Bryce Young is you don't have to even draft him. I think he's a free agent after redraft leagues. I mean, barring deeper leagues or super flex, obviously. But I actually love the value on it because let's say you did go get a quarterback and you're just, you're set in other positions or you're in a deeper league and Bryce Young's the person to put on the bench. Just see what happens week 1. I don't know their schedule off the top of my head, but at the end of the day, if he can do what he did last year in any way, shape, or form, and he's on your team already, you don't have to scramble week 1. I love to have these kind of people on my team to start the year out. But at the very end of the day is maybe he doesn't do great off the bat and the first person drops him. And then week 2 he hits. I feel like this is going to be a waiver wire pickup at some point, whether it's when bye weeks hit or whatever. But other than that, the only other thing I really disagree with is the Chuba draft. I'm all in on Chuba type stuff. I'm worried. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that pickup.
I get it.
That pickup is worrisome at the end of the day. I know it's Rico Dowdle. I know he's not like an elite running back by any means, but they went out and drafted Trevor Etienne. They brought in Rico Dowdle. They still have Jonathan Brooks on the sideline for the future. Like, this is more for dynasty sakes, but like, I don't know if we see what we've had in Chuba. I don't think they use him as a workhorse. I don't think he ever was designed to be a workhorse. I think he was always supposed to be a 1-2 punch kind of guy. And it very much seems like there's going to be some intermingling here, and that just worries me. But
yeah. I mean, they paid him $9 million, so I assume they're going to try to get their money's worth. That's kind of where
I think
I'm
they were
going
just
with
getting
it.
in before the market was crazy. We saw the running back market last year go crazy, and they were like, okay, if we sign him right now with this injury, like we got – actually, I think it was pre-Jonathan Brooks injury. I'd have to look that up. But
I don't like that he's going above Kamara right now. And, I mean, David Montgomery's going behind him too,
Swift
along with the Judkins, Caleb Johnson. But, I mean, I like Chuba. I would take him over a lot of guys, probably not Kamara. But
I think I'd take him a lot more like safely, or, you know, be happier about it if it was one round later. Like if this was 60-ish, I'd be pretty happy with this. But 50 just seems a bit rich when you could still, like, you're getting Joe Burrow, Devontae Smith right above him. Like, I mean, these are players that you know are going to at least slot in your roster. This one is one of those ones where it's like, and maybe this is a value for him. Maybe he does exactly what he did last year, and you end up with the running back 5 or whatever he ended up as. So I'm just saying, more timid about it. 14. So about where he's going.
Fair enough. Through that whole thing, just realized that I'm probably going to have some Panthers on my team, because I feel like these are some good values that you're going to get these guys at. Maybe not Chuba. I mean, depending on how the draft falls, your needs, stuff like that. Like maybe I went wide receiver really heavy, and he's a 0, running back guy you can grab a little bit later. But between that, Bryce Young will probably be my second quarterback I take. Jatavian Sanders sounds like a hell of a guy to have stashed on my bench at tight end. Even Adam Thielen, I feel like, is a guy that people are going to forget about because they're going to be like, wow, isn't that guy still playing? That's kind of crazy.
Dude,
and you
especially because he was injured most of the year last year too. So I feel like people really don't remember.
So like they're going to be like, oh, he's still on the team? That's kind of crazy. Like when you're looking through the sheets of stickers and you're like thinking about who to put on the board, and you're like, Adam Thielen, he's still playing? That's kind of crazy. I just feel like there's a lot of these guys that like you can grab a little bit later than normal, but I think the value, you're actually going to get a better return based on where they're going. So I think I'm going to have a lot of Panthers on my team, which is bizarre. I don't know how much I love that, but I don't know. I like value. I'm a good value guy.
Just to clarify, because like it seems like we're kind of like hopeful for the Panthers, even if they suck, like even if like this doesn't work out and this isn't a team that even competes whatsoever, they still have to throw the ball a shit ton. So, I mean, you're still getting discounts on Ted McMillan potentially and Adam Thielen and, I mean, hopefully Jatavian Sanders. I'd love to see it happen. He's obviously athletic, but would love to see him actually get that role.
Yeah, but, I mean, this defense does have a chance to kind of shock some people after diving into it a little bit. But just one more note is it doesn't seem like they want Bryce Young to throw the ball a hell of a lot. So I do think there's going to be a lot of offense on this team, but it kind of makes me more comfortable with the whole Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard thing, because I think that they're really going to try to run the football a lot this year, even with Bryce. So that's why that's why I said 150 targets for Tet instead of like 180 like we saw for Neighbors last year, just because I don't think they're going to sling it as much as we would like them.
Neighbors is an outlier, by the way. If you look at like rookie targets, like that's not going to happen every year.
No, but still think there's some value on the offense here. The defense, we get a healthy Derek Brown. Hopefully, he got hurt week 1 last year. So, I mean, he had over 100 tackles, and for that defensive line spot, that's insane. We love seeing that. They tried to get Milton Williams. They got Bobby Brown instead, and Tershawn Wharton. So they got Bobby Brown, who should be solid. Tershawn Wharton's a little bit more of a project. You don't need to worry about him. DJ Wonnum, interesting. He averaged 10.5 points per game last year when he came back and was healthy. He had 4 sacks. Definitely was the guy that I was using a lot last year, so he should be pretty good. They got Pat Jones also. Interesting story. So Pat Jones was a part-time player for the Vikings last year, had 7 sacks. So if he comes in, depending on how this shakes out, and gets a full-time role, he could be a very usable piece in this offense here, or this defense, I'm sorry. Kind of a sleeper to watch him. And then when we get to linebackers, Josie Jewell, absolutely underrated. Get him in your drafts. He's going to be awesome. He was shy of 100 tackles last year, had a couple injury things, but he's very useful. Does a lot of the pads the stats, interceptions, sacks, whatever it may be. The interesting thing is Trevin Wallace and Christian Rosenboom. Christian Rosenboom comes over from the Rams after having 135 tackles. It's kind of interesting that after Troy Reeder got hurt, Christian Rosenboom filled in pretty good, and then the Rams were just like, nah, let him walk. He only signed for $2.5 million, so that seems like the Rams totally could have handled that one. And then you got Trevin Wallace, who was kind of forced into a starting role when Shaq Thompson got hurt. Played okay. It wasn't great. So one of those two guys is going to have value this season. Just need to figure out which one. They went out and drafted Nick Scourton to kind of fill that other role. And Princely Umanamilian, who I will never say his name correctly.
That's a good one, Joe.
I'll take that there. So, I mean, clearly they like the guys they have on the line here because they let Jadeveon Clowney walk. They just cut him straight out. So it'll be interesting to see where he lands. Cornerbacks, Michael Jackson, J.C. Horn, they're going to be just fine. And the interesting thing is that I really like what they did. They signed Trayvon Moehrig, who is going to come over and play strong safety for them and is going to be awesome. And he is a name that people do not like drafting. He's not a sexy name at safety, and now he goes to the Panthers. You are going to get him for essentially free. Not many people are on him, but he's probably going to play that strong safety role unless we see Lathan Ransom really stud out in camp. He's the rookie they drafted, who kind of is another box safety like Trayvon Moehrig. So we could see Moehrig go over to free safety if Ransom jumps in, but we're going to assume that Nick Scott or Richardson is going to take that spot. We love Trayvon Moehrig at offensive points, at least I do. And he's the 6th highest paid safety in the league. So get him. He's free. We love it here.
Just love it here.
We just love it here. It's a great time. This team is fun, man. It's going to be fun to watch it. I don't expect great things, but.
Well, their over-under, Joe, is 6.5.
Well, they got Jacksonville, Arizona, the Falcons, the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Cowboys, the Jets, the Bills, the Packers, the Saints, the Falcons, the 49ers, the Rams, the Saints, the Buccaneers, the Seahawks, and the Buccaneers again. Not a good playoff schedule there, Bob.
I'm going over. I am.
What was the over-under on them?
6.5.
6.5.
So 7 and 10.
Man, see, this is such a Panthers thing to go get 6 wins. I feel like they could easily get 7.
That is not a tough schedule.
The Saints are probably 2 of them. They play the Patriots. That's a toss-up at this point. Cowboys.
Probably going to split Atlanta.
Probably, yeah. I could see.
I think they win at least 3 division games, so that's halfway there, right? I mean, a little bit under halfway there, and I need 4 more wins. Can you pick up 1 more on the division and then a few more on the 9 other games you play? I think they could do it. I think if they go on a run like if they start hot or if they end hot like they did last year, like I could see 7. I'm gonna go over as well.
They're gonna be competitive.
I just feel like it won't be embarrassing to lose to the Panthers this year. Like last year, it was like you all lost to the Panthers. Like whoa. I think this year it'll be like, oh okay, you lost to the Panthers. That makes sense.
I'm having trouble placing the worst team this year. Honestly.
It is more difficult this year.
It's probably the Saints, but there's a chance that. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's fair. They
don't even have in Vegas right now. They don't have any over-unders. Like how I'm going to do at the end of the podcast with the players, their over-unders for like yards and whatever. None on the board right now. 0.
Maybe it's the Saints. All right, never mind.
That's only one more thing I will say about the Panthers is they're in a great spot this year because Bryce, they got to make his decision on his 5th-year option next year. So if he goes out and returns to old Bryce, you probably suck enough to get a good quarterback this year. And if he plays awesome, you can pick up his 5th-year option and continue. So they're in a good spot, Panthers fans. Keep pounding.
That's true. Okay.
I
don't know if y'all went over under or not. I went over.
I'm over.
Yeah,
they're scrappy.
Okay.
Scrappy team.
Let's put all. All right. Next team on the list is my Atlanta Falcons, who I finally, after all these years, did not draft a player on offense in the first round of the NFL draft. But we'll get to we'll get to the other goofy thing they did in the first round of the NFL draft, and when you get to the defense. Michael Penix currently going as QB 21, 147 overall. Probably not going to be your starter. I think we kind of need to see it, at least at the beginning of the year. It's kind of a guy that, like, if you picked Josh Allen, you picked Lamar Jackson, it's a good guy to grab as your second guy if you need a backup or something you want to stash on your roster, just to kind of see, because there is some fun weapons on this team. We'll just get him out of the way. Kyle Pitts, look, he is looking to currently be traded. There is talks on the table of him potentially being traded before training camp, so we'll kind of monitor that situation. As it stands now, though, he's going as tight end 18, 153 overall, so basically free, not using as a starter tight end, which, proves Josh right. I still think this offense is not what he needed to be in, but at this point, I'm probably just wrong. So why keep pounding that drum? Onto the wide receivers. We got Drake London. He's currently going 15 overall, 9th wide receiver. Feels about right. I think the amount of volume and what he's proven so far, as long as he stays not injured, that seems about right for him. He's been turning out some good seasons. He's never really had that like wide receiver 1 overall upside, which is disappointing. I thought eventually he might get to that point, and who knows? Cooper Kupp got there a little bit older than what Drake London is now, so maybe they're still in the cards. But as it stands now, I don't think that ceiling's there. But he's a good guy to grab in the second round of the draft if you need a second, or when you get your second wide receiver or your first wide receiver if you went running back. Darnell Mooney, everybody's favorite guy who everyone loves to shit on. Currently going wide receiver 47, 86 overall, which just feels disrespectful. That's a guy that I think everybody should at that price should be targeting, because there is no one else on this roster that you should really be thinking about as far as wide receivers go, because Pitts, as I already stated, going 153 overall. So clearly no one thinks he's going to be a factor. And if you put Darnell Mooney is the other guy getting the targets on this team, that means he could probably get something. So I would say he's a guy you could go grab. And at that price, I would gladly take him as my flex option on the team. Ray McLeod is the other guy. He's going undrafted for most people right now. I don't know if his roster spot is super safe, or at least not like fantasy relevant as it stands now. This wide receiver room is disgusting. Casey Washington, Kadero Hodge, Jamal Agnew, Nick Nash, who nobody wanted from San Jose State, and then just a bunch of other random people at the end of the roster that nobody wants. So I don't love the wide receiver room, but here we are. And then we get to the running backs, which is kind of the bell of the ball here. We got Bijan Robinson is going 4th overall, running back 2 behind Saquon. Feels about right. I think the offense is obviously going to funnel through him. I think you're going to get your value back. And if you have one of the first 4 picks, I don't think Bijan makes it past that to 5. Tyler Algier is going running back 48, 151 overall. I do think that is a little light because, you need to grab him as a handcuff if you have Bijan, because once he gets in there, he's going to get used. And then just in general, he's still going to get some touches for whatever reason. Bijan, for some reason, they don't want to make him a 30 rush per yard guy every game, which I think he is capable of being. So they run Tyler Algier sometimes. So I think he's got a little bit of flex value in dynasty leagues with big benches and big starting lineups. I know he's definitely usable in those because I've done it myself. But Bijan's the guy you want on this team. Drake London would be the other one. And then everyone else I'm a little less excited about as far as that goes. All right. I do want to touch on the defense real quick. This is a bizarre defense who you don't really know where you're going to be getting the production from because it's so new for the most part. I would say your safest bet on this team is Jesse Bates. He ended last year as the defensive back 7, so I do think you can expect that to continue. But other than that, they brought in Leonard Floyd from San Francisco. They drafted Jalen Walker in the first round, which we're all pretty excited for him. But then they did the really dumb move of spending next year's first-round pick to go up and get James Pierce. Where does he fit in? Are they doing a rotation system? I don't know, but if you're going to make a move like that, that makes you think he's getting on the field. So then why did you go get Leonard Floyd? It's very frustrating.
Leonard Floyd can't handle a full workload at this point.
He can't, but at the same time, like, you go get him, and now we're going to do some kind of bizarre rotation where now none of these guys are probably draftable in IDP drafts, or at least if they are, one of them is going to hit and then the other two are just going to cannibalize themselves. Like, I don't even know what to do about that at this point in time.
While I'll agree with you on the whole trading next year's first for James Pierce seems silly, at the end of the day, like, they thought that this is the guy, which I mean, they've clearly not been right about all these picks. So I feel like you could have gotten an edge rusher easy, went pretty early in the second round. Like, you could have gotten someone else if you really were after getting another.
Probably could have gotten Pierce if they just waited.
I mean, there's always that possibility. So I don't
know. I mean, they also have that Arnold. I don't know how to say his last name. Yeah, there you go.
Just to simplify everything you just said, you're tracking Drake London and Bijan in the early rounds, 100%. That's just a solid pick, and then Mooney's a steal. I mean, that's about all you need to say. I will say I'm actually back in on Pitts, and it's only because he's free. So like if it like, obviously, once again, this is a backup tight end currently going at like tight end 18 or something like that. That's fine. I'm good with that. Like, I don't want to trade. I don't want to pick the third tight end off the board to be Kyle Pitts, which was what people did in redraft his rookie year, which actually turned out okay because he actually did fine that year. But
year one, everyone was thinking maybe this wasn't a mistake, and then every year after that,
yeah, and we just kept going back to the well. But if he stays at 18 underneath Goddard, Kincaid, Jake Ferguson, Freiermuth even, which is just wild to me. I understand there's no second there, but I'm cool with snagging that. I mean, I would probably be better off going. You'd probably be better off getting like Loveland or Warren or something, trying to like take that shot on a rookie. But Kyle Pitts is athletic, and if he goes to the right team, or if he ends up staying on this team, there's targets. And by the way, we were talking about wide receivers rooms that are worse than the Denver Broncos. This is one of them. You got Drake London. I love Mooney, but at the end of the day, he's a wide receiver 2, probably wide receiver 3 on any other team that has better options. And then you got Ray McLeod, who somehow does it. And we don't know what Penix is. We still have no idea what Penix is. That's the biggest question mark for this team at the moment. But no, I mean, London's getting his, and that's the good thing because they didn't sign anyone. Now, if they would have got Ibuka or something, maybe you'd be like, oh. But at this moment, his stock could not be higher.
Yeah, that's what we know Michael Penix is Drake London got 39 targets in the 3 games that he played. So Drake London to the absolute moon. I don't see why that wouldn't continue. I mean, Mooney had 6 top 20 finishes last year, wide receivers. So like you said, Bill, that's a hell of a steal. And then just to follow up on the defense, I actually really like what they did here because Caden Ellis is an absolute stud at linebacker and is going to be again this year. They got Jalen Walker, who can do the dual position thing just like Caden Ellis can. So you really have so much flexibility with those two guys that you never know where the pass rush is going to come from. Leonard Floyd was fine with 49ers last year at 8.5 sacks. And then you got James Pierce, who, I mean, we all thought he was going to be a top 5 pick going into last year. So I do like James Pierce a lot. He's a good bench stash. And then on this defense, like Xavier Watts could easily take over that job from Jordan Fuller at the end of the year. I like Billy Bowman out there also. The interesting thing is going to be there's going to be value between Divine Diablo and Troy Anderson. If Troy Anderson can stay healthy, it should be him. But it might end up being Diablo just because Troy Anderson cannot stay on the field. So this is going to be interesting to watch this defense in action. I kind of see the picture they're painting with it. I just want to see it actually happen.
I think
it's going to be jumbled a little bit. That's all. My only problem is it's going to be jumbled. You're not going to get like one guy that you draft and for sure set and forget. It's going to be a matchup a little bit dependent, or just based on what they're doing with the rotations. I don't know. That's my only concern.
Diablo,
it's going to be cool to watch, though. I do think this defense is going to be fun to watch.
This is exactly what they needed to do. I mean, it would have been nice to see them get a late round wide receiver or something to add to this room, but I think at the end of the day, they have their studs, and it's like we have Bijan, we had Pitts, I guess, and have Drake London. So I love that they went after defense. Still a little bummed they burned a first round pick, but maybe they're onto something. Because
here's the thing: they can't make any mistake next year. They don't have him. They don't have one to make the mistake with. But I do think that pick is probably going to be top 10-ish. So that is a little concerning for them.
Could be bad.
All right, the over under for the Falcons is 7.5. So 1 game more than the Panthers.
Let's see. They got the Buccaneers, the Vikings, the Panthers, the Commanders. Week 5 bye. Buffalo Bills, 49ers, Dolphins, Patriots, Colts, Panthers, Saints, Jets, Seahawks, Buccaneers, Cardinals, Rams, Saints. Kind of a tough schedule.
I don't see it.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing like the Vikings, which we don't know who that is yet. So like there is some like mystery a little bit in there, but I just like I don't trust the team as it's constructed. I need to see it first. So I'm probably going under. I think that this team could be worse than the Panthers this year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
schedule for them. I don't like it.
I don't see how their GM can last after this. I don't.
Real.
But like the thing is though, they did, and not only that, they can't really get rid of him because the new GM wouldn't have a first round pick to work with next year. So why in the hell would you take the job? So like it's kind of I don't know. Don't love it. I hope that Arthur Blank or whoever the owner is right now is the one making the decisions because the GM cannot continue to do this. I think it's Fautnot or whatever. I don't know. If this doesn't work, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going under as well. Sorry, I don't know.
Fair enough. All right, Buccaneers, the leaders of the division so far.
And probably will be. So this offense is amazing, as we saw last year. Baker came to an even bigger form than he's ever been in his professional career. He seems to be getting better with his old age. I say old age, he's 30. But anyway, so the Bucs got eliminated last year by the surging Commanders, so they're out to prove something, and I think they want to win this division by a little bit more than a game or two because I feel like that's what they've been eking into the playoffs. Defense, still a bit of a work in progress, but offensively, this is one of the best offenses in football. So we all know they got Emeka Egbuka to further draw some lines and who the wide receivers are going to be. And then did add Hassan Reddick in free agency to boost the defense. I think that was really their only addition on defense, at least starting wise. And then lost a couple big defensive players. But other than that, they didn't really lose anything of substance. KJ Britt and Joe Tran, who never really got to be that guy. Mike Edwards, safety, didn't really change. Offense stayed exactly the same. I don't think a single person changed. So let's get into some rankings and what we're feeling. So Bucky obviously had a phenomenal year last year and now is going 27th. So early third round pick at running back 8. I absolutely hate this. He finished as running back 13 last year. And maybe this is just, dynasty hype. Maybe he goes down a little bit. They did not add a running back. So the Rachaad White, Sean Tucker 2-3 is still there. Rachaad White was getting a lot of carries to start the year last year and just basically dwindled, but honestly still got a little bit at the end of the year just to kind of relieve Bucky at that point because he was doing everything. I love Bucky, man. This price tag is way too high for me in redraft. I'm probably not getting Bucky anywhere this year, and I hate everything about it. On to Baker, QB6 at 61. This is going to be where that QB run goes, and I think Baker's actually going to be a discount. Everybody's going to go Joe Burrow. Caleb will probably get drafted above him. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks that are drafted above him that probably don't belong there. And I think Baker with this receiving core deserves to be there. So Patrick Mahomes is listed one under him currently. I just assume we live in St. Louis, so we're in a lot of KC-friendly drafts. Wide receiver wise, now this is where I get just a little bit hairy on like what to do. So you got Evans at 31, which seems excessive. Godwin at 54, who, just to clarify, he had an ankle injury, very bad ankle injury, but he should be back for at least, maybe if he misses a game or two. But at the most likely, it's looking like he's going to play. Although I don't know, they drafted Egbuka for a reason, whether it's the future or whether it's this year. Maybe they know something we don't. So I'm kind of steering away from Godwin, but every time I steer away from Godwin, he does well, and every time I draft Godwin, he does bad. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe go get Godwin if I'm not drafting him. And then Egbuka and McMillan are absolutely free at the end of drafts, probably around 10, 11, 146, 148. I don't think they can decide the rank. Like, nobody knows who's going to be the better one. Obviously, McMillan caught a lot of touchdowns last year, but Egbuka has this fresh legs situation. I think Kate Otten, obviously, man, great tight end. There's no one behind him. It's just there's too many receivers in this room. And he ended up as tight end, 14 last year? He's in that range. Great fill-in, bye-week fill-in. Great if you got deep leagues or tight end premium to have on your roster, and you can get him for basically free. But at the end of the day, like I mentioned, multiple tight ends that you could go after instead of him. And then as for the defense, once again, nothing changed basically except for Hassan Reddick, who slots in at their edge rusher slot. Levante David's still the tackle leader, probably going to do it again, even though he's 45 years old and still out there doing it. Yaya Diaby and Cansey out there on the edges, and then Vita Vea and Hall soaking up the middle. And then I really hate the next linebacker because I want to say that Anthony Walker or Deion Jones have a chance to be in there, but it currently is listed as Servakia Dennis, and I don't know if that's something that you guys should worry about. And everyone knows about Antoine Winfield, and Christian Izzian is just not going to get enough play for me to be starting, but good depth stash. So what do you guys think about this team?
I hate having a bet on Jalen McMillan right now. Like a fireball bet, I almost feel like I should just take the thing because, like, man, going in even into the night of the draft, I felt really good about it. And then they took a wide receiver. Still don't know why. I don't know if they needed that, but I feel like it's a insurance policy for potential injuries to either Evans or Godwin, because if either of those guys does go down, it does get a little like suspicious after that. Whereas if they have Ibuka, it's not. Like it's not as suspicious, at least. Like at least it's a guy that you think you can trust with first round pedigree. So I think that I'm scared because I feel like the Bucs by the time we get to August, I know we don't like. I don't know if Matthew Berry's still doing his Berry bumps, but like I feel like all the Bucs are going to get Berry bumps by the time we get to the actual drafts, and all these guys are going to be priced out. Like the fact that Baker's going above Mahomes is scary. The fact that I don't even think Bucky's at his highest point yet as far as being drafted, like 27. I feel like he might even get higher by the time we get, and then Godwin and Evans are consistently not drafted where we think they should. I feel like this whole team is like, if we were drafting today, good values. I'd probably grab them where they are. But like by the time we get to August and things are starting to inflate a little bit, I don't know if I'm gonna have any Bucks, unfortunately.
I mean, Mike Evans in the third round for a guy who's going to go out and get 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns is just pricey to me. Like looking at the wide receivers that are in that area.
Well, then you have the health factor with them too. Like that's another thing you have to at least. I know that it's like you never want to factor injuries into it, but at a certain point with Mike Evans, we have to be realistic, right? Like eventually.
All right, so wide receiver 16. Let's just go down the list of wide receivers below him. Terry McLaurin and Devontae Adams, the next 2 picks. Would you rather have either of them over him?
Devontae all day.
Yeah, I think Devontae.
I'm taking both of them. I'm taking Terry too. I mean, the whole contract thing, I'm not worried about at the moment. DJ Moore, I'll take Mike Evans over. That's like 6 picks down. And then we get into Marvin Harrison, Cortland Sutton, Zay Flowers, Devontae Smith. So there is a drop-off here after this, but the Mike Evans just feels like he should be 3-4 picks later, just in general. Like I want to take Terry and Devontae before him, just right off the bat. And then there's some people. I missed Rashee Rice too. But I don't know. For some reason, this year just feels different with the Ibuka signing. And while Jalen McMillan didn't really get a lot of play when Mike Evans and Godwin were on the field, I think there's going to be more of a swing here, like immediately. And Ibuka could actually start potentially right off the year, or McMillan even for that matter, as if Godwin is not able to make it back. So that's a fun little stash just to see what happens, especially as we get closer to the year and creep up. I think they'll creep up as it goes on, though.
Yeah. At least under Liam Cohen, they ran 3 wide receiver sets a ton. It was McMillan, then it was Sterling Shepard for a while there. So I think Ibuka, even though we kind of profile him as a slot receiver, could start outside pretty early, just get some good play. And then, like you said, with the health of Godwin and Evans, I mean, I'm slowly starting to feel like I'm going to have a lot of Ibuka this year.
If he
especially if he continues going where he's going. Yeah. He could easily play himself into monster territory there. And then the only other thing I have to add to what you said, Josh, is Servakia Dennis, the 2 games that he started last year, he had 22 tackles in 2 games. And Todd Bowles came out and said that they expect him to kind of take a lead in that linebacker role. So he is a guy that you should be running out and at least stashing to see what happens. I don't know if it's going to work, but we should at least put him on our
There's
roster.
no one like threatening his position currently. I mean, there's a couple guys who I mentioned who are, could have some roles. I look at all three of them as one linebacker.
Yeah.
Currently, but someone's going to end up with a starting role, and this team does soak up some tackles. So
the fact that they didn't go defense in the first round will be one of the biggest draft shocks. I don't know. I feel like every year there's like a couple of things that just like I can't believe that happened. Mm-hmm. And this was one of them where I'm just like, man, really? Okay, they went and got a wide receiver. That interesting. Didn't think that's right.
I was absolutely convinced Jihad Campbell was the pick here. That was.
I agree, Joe.
I would have put money on it if I was able to.
No, that is not what I thought. Okay, the Buccaneers over/under right now is 9.5.
Lower.
All right, so they start off with the Falcons, the Texans, the Jets, the Eagles, the Seahawks, the 49ers, the Lions, the Saints. Then they have a bye week and they go Patriots, Bills, Rams, Cardinals, Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Dolphins, Panthers.
Okay. Wow. That was a tough middle stretch there.
It's hard, but they're a good team. So like they just don't have a good defense.
Have they ever?
I mean, really, the Rams, the Bills, the Lions, and the Eagles are their only, I guess maybe the Texans, but that's really the only hard teams.
Right. I guess I feel like I can't. I don't know. I guess
they basically got to go 500 just with an extra game. I think they got it.
So do they need 9 wins or 10 wins?
10. Go 10-7.
See, I feel like this team is, and they have another receiver, but I feel like it's more of an insurance policy than a upgrade. And considering they upgraded nothing, that means they went 10-7 last year. They went 9-6 before, or 9-8 before that, and 8-9. They've technically gotten better each year as we go on, but not improving the team makes no sense to me. So I'm gonna go under. Actually, I think
they had a lot of offensive line injuries last year too.
I'm not saying the team's bad. I like the team. I just think that that defense is gonna bleed this team. And fortunately for us, fantasy wise, these wide receivers and quarterback and running backs are going to be doing some work. So, also, I didn't really touch on Rachaad White. Actually, a pretty decent handcuff. I not a huge Rachaad White fan, but if Bucky does happen to go down, Rachaad White steps directly into that backfield.
Fair enough.
I'm not doing the thing.
On to the worst team potentially in the NFL, and that is the New Orleans Saints. I just want to tell the story of Tyler Shough because he's probably looking to be the starter right now. Kind of looks like that's where they're headed. I think Spencer Rattler's possibly the better option, but we've seen the Spencer Rattler experience. It's not exactly inspiring. So Tyler Shough is not a good quarterback. And he was in college for 7 years. He was a backup.
A lot of people go to college for 7 years, man.
That's true. I'm not disrespecting the education of it all. He probably has almost a doctorate by now. But at Oregon, he backed up Justin Herbert. If you think about how long Justin Herbert has been in the NFL, Tyler Shough's been in college that entire time that he has been in the NFL. He has only thrown over 2,000 yards one time in his career. Now, you can say it's an injury thing, and I'll give you that because the man was in college for 7 years, and he only went over 10 games in one of those seasons, and that was his senior season at Louisville, which was the one that he got drafted off of. He threw for a career-high 23 touchdowns this season, 23, very exciting 23 touchdowns. And 6 interceptions, which isn't bad. But, if you're only throwing 23 touchdowns, how many could you have possibly thrown? I think that this is the worst, bring a guy from in college and then stick him on an NFL team that I have ever seen. He is made of glass, clearly, and he's almost as old as Spencer Rattler right now. In fact, they might be the same age. I'm not positive. I don't understand the point of doing this other than the fact that the Saints want to suck and they are going to get the number 1 pick in the NFL draft next season. I think there's a reason that Vegas hasn't put up any potential bets for any of these teams for the over-under for stats because they don't even know why Tyler Shuck would be starting because they haven't put anything up. So I'm sorry to put a damper on Rougarou's parade and the whole Saints, but this is frighteningly bad.
Okay. I'm gonna pick this up a bit because that was super grim. While I agree with pretty much everything you said,
I have to be realistic, Josh. It's just okay. That's the life I'm living.
I just want to talk about the bright spots of this team.
Sure.
And it actually correlates directly to what you were saying. If this team had a quarterback, offensively at least, this is a decent team. Unfortunately, they don't. I'd love to say what if on Tyler Shuck or what if on Spencer Rattler. We saw what Rattler was last year. It was not it. I don't know what else is out there, but maybe they need to explore those options. The wide receiver room is actually really great. I mean, Chris Olave, we know there's obviously concussion issues here, especially last year. Pretty much got shut down after the multiple concussions. Rashid Shaheed was a speedster who I at least did not believe in, and it clearly was wrong. I should have believed. And then they go get Brandon Cooks, who's doing a little victory tour and been on every team in the NFL, and he's back to the Saints. I like this receiving core. I think this is great. Juwan Johnson, Taysom Hill, Foster Moreau, that whole tight end conundrum is rough. But at the end of the day, like they all equal one good tight end. I like the passing team here, like outside of the quarterback. So maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit of hope that Shuck can actually do something and be a game manager and get the ball to these guys. Don't know enough about them. What Billy said here doesn't sound like it. Just trying to be the positive bunch, and I'll leave the running backs to you, Joe.
No, you're good. I do want to say a positive thing about the tight ends because you were pretty Debbie Downer on the tight end.
It wasn't that I'm Debbie Downers. None of them are going to be fancy.
No. You're good. I'm just saying. Fun facts. First of all, Tyler Shuck is 1 year older than Spencer Rattler, so that's fun. 2, he played football at Oregon with Juwan Johnson way back in the day, and they just made Juwan Johnson the 12th highest paid tight end in the NFL. So I low-key kind of like Juwan Johnson here. I mean, he is absolutely free. I just looked up. He's tight end 28. He's going 201 overall. If you're in a deep league, you could do worse than Juwan Johnson, especially in a tight end premium. He could be a guy to throw out there.
I want to just interrupt. At what point, and this has nothing to do with what you're saying, at what point do you just roll Taysom Hill out there as quarterback and just see what you can be?
If his knee's intact.
If he's even going to be able to play.
Okay, well, that's fair. I didn't know.
He's even going to be able to play.
I thought for some reason.
37 now.
I mean, just give him a shot, man. Like, you got no quarterbacks on the roster. Give Taysom Hill a shot to be the quarterback. All right, anyway, sorry. Continue, Joe.
I think he's like 35. No, this is just
35 coming off an ACL.
How cool!
By the way, another funny thing about Tyler Shuck is that he officially will be the last player drafted from the 1900s. He was born in 1999. He is officially the oldest player. Like nobody else that's in college football right now is from the 1990s.
Wow.
Tyler Shuck is the last one.
You say 1900s, man, just makes me feel old. Like I don't know.
Well, we're 25 years into the 2000s, Josh. We're 25 years in.
Sure. And
Tyler Shuck, still from the 1990s. He's holding strong for us 90s babies. This is I don't know.
But you got to draft Kamara. I'm pleading with people to draft Kamara. He's going at 60 overall, RB20. Just draft him. He's got a couple good years left with this team, and they have no quarterback. So Kamara is your dude. Just draft him, please. Devin Neal's spicy. The name's cute. Him and Kendre Miller are going to fight. Kendre Miller has actually looked pretty good this offseason. I'm not saying there is going to be a resurgence about Kendre Miller, but he does look fine. Get Kamara. If you're going to draft anyone on this team or in this division for what that means, get Kamara.
I don't mean to be a dick, but Kendre Miller's fantasy career at least ended when they drafted Devin Neal. If Kamara
I don't think it did, Josh, but I think that these two guys are going to fight each other completely.
Okay, well this is
They have Velus Jones, Joe.
I know. Velus Jones is a stud.
Nice. Let's go ahead and do a small. Let's just do a small fireball bet that Devin Neal ends up with more yards than Kendre Miller this year.
Okay.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Just a little fun Saints bet. You're welcome,
Sad
Rue.
the Saints are.
Anyone want to touch on the defense? Actually, not bad.
It's
I
Okay.
don't hate this.
I like Justin Reed.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do it since nobody wants to do it. Brian Breesy was their weird draft pick that nobody expected. Great defensive tackle, honestly. Good defensive tackle. Chase Young, hoping that this man can have some sort of rebirth into what he was supposed to be. But at the end of the day, decent edge rusher. Carl Granderson, obviously we know he's decent. And Pete Werner, I know he's never done it before, but he also hasn't not done it. He's had some injury
I feel like
concerns.
Stutzman's going to take his job, though, because, like, that's Billy's guy.
It does feel that way.
I was getting there. God.
Sorry, man.
I feel like everyone hates Pete Werner because he didn't end up being the like elite superstar that everyone just put on his name. But I feel like he was just fine in college, and then he came into and it was just there was a lack of like linebackers. I don't think there's anything wrong with Pete Werner. I think he actually can have a great year. I think he's a great steal in a lot of drafts. But like I said, you have already jumped the gun. Danny Stutzman does have a nice clear role to a starting role, and that could be for Demario Davis as well, who is also aging, still doing it, but like there could be a position there. And then the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu here, and Justin Reed, both KC safeties. I just love that. I love that they just stole the Chiefs safeties after they win a ring, or 4. I don't even know how many they have. Yeah, I don't hate it, and then their corners are good too. Kool-Aid. I mean, I just don't draft corners for fantasy, so I don't talk about them, but. I don't know much about Yadam from San Francisco, but Alontae Taylor and Kool-Aid are both fine corners.
Yeah, Alontae Taylor put up some good points last year just because they threw the ball at him 100 times a game. But
yeah,
they need to build a nursing home across the street from the practice facility and just wheel all these guys directly in there and go sign people off the street.
I don't think this defense is as bad as you're saying. I mean, it's not.
They're not bad. They're not bad. It's just it's not it, and it's time for a new thing. You know,
I mean,
they've got so much money tied up into these guys.
Honestly, like we talked about all this, and we didn't talk about a single rookie of theirs, except for Shuck. Kelvin Banks was a great draft pick, I guess, to be fair.
Yeah.
But Neal just felt like unnecessary because you got Kendre and Kamara, and then it's like a bunch of like backup defensive players. Like I don't even see a single person who's starting on this other than Shuck, and we kind of hope he doesn't.
I still believe in Isaiah Folksy, man. It's gonna happen.
You and his family, Joe. I think that might be the only people.
Yeah, we exchanged Christmas cards. It's pretty cool.
It's true. All right, let's get over this. Saints are 4.5.
Ooh.
Okay. The Saints get the Cardinals, the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Bills, the Giants, the Patriots, the Bears, the Buccaneers, the Rams, Carolina. Got a bye week 11. Falcons, Miami, Buccaneers, Panthers, Jets, Titans, Falcons.
Man, I'm back in. It was real tough. I'm going to go over. I think they can win 5 games.
I'm under
4.5, right?
I think they win 3.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I think 5's
The
fine.
problem is once they get down, what happens? How do they get back in the game? Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shuck? I don't see it happen. It's a quarterback thing. I don't even know how they get to the 3 wins, to be completely honest, but football's weird and weird things happen. But I cannot see them winning 5 on accident.
I think they beat Carolina or Atlanta on like just at least probably each of them once, and then go ahead and grab a Giants. I heard a couple other Jets I think was in there. I could see one of those two being a couple wins out of them. Depends on where they're at in the season. And then not to mention, you never know if like one of these teams is just struggling at the end of the year. That's my 5th win. I don't really. My 5th win's like a.
Okay, so here is the thing. At what maybe it's not at what point they cannot try to win if they're like actually going for the number 1 pick. At a certain point in the season, you just kind of got to be like, guys, I know that we got to win games because y'all are on contracts and y'all don't sign up to lose. But maybe we shut everybody down. All 100%. The old guys, go ahead and get Cancun packed up, get the family and all the dogs, everybody ready, and just shut her on down. So
The crazy thing, though, is if they shut it down and they draft a rookie, all this entire defense is
retired.
retired. So, like,
Joe, what do you want me to do? I didn't play in their finances.
No. I'm not saying you did anything. I'm just like looking at this team. We look at this team every year, and we're just like, you can't keep kicking these contracts down the fucking road, and they just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And now it's like
a sad state of affairs.
That reminds me, Cameron Jordan is still on the team. I didn't mention him. I just good to see because
him and Demario Davis, bro, they're like 400 years old.
The veterans, man, they'll teach these young cats.
They're older than us.
Hey, fine.
That's saying something, man.
Whatever, though. Okay, that's the NFC South. It's bleak, guys. Yeah. It's bleak. I think this is the worst one we're gonna do. I don't think there's anybody in the AFC that's this bad, division wise.
There's some bad teams, but there's good teams in those divisions as well.
Right. Well, this one literally. Okay, so I guess here's the thing: which of the other teams that's not the Bucs break the playoff drought of 6+ years? Which do you think could do it?
I think Bucs win the division at 9-8 or whatever. I think it's the same thing they've been doing. I think the Falcons try to push. There's always this little push at the end. So, the Falcons might do it, and then they just like fall down, and the Bucs take it.
It's true.
I don't know.
Right. I think the Bucs get it, and I don't think they get a wild card team.
I'd like to see no, I don't think there's a wild card team in this division. I'd like to see the Panthers somehow leapfrog the Bucs. That'd be fun. But at the end of the day, the Bucs being in the playoffs is better for the NFL and for the fans.
Panthers' last playoff appearance was 2015.
Yeah, that's pretty generous. I thought it would be a little.
Yeah, it's
been
dark.
Carolina's going to be feisty. The Falcons could do it, honestly. I mean, if Penix turns out, the team's built pretty well outside of wide receiver.
It's not built well. We went over a whole segment of how they weren't built well. They had 1.5 wide receivers, and they're getting rid of their tight end, who's their third receiver.
Well, if they keep Pitts, I think they could be feisty. I don't know. But I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs. They could.
That'd be an issue if there's an injury. The team is definition of house of cards.
It's a rough one out there, but oh well. All right. Next week, we're going to go to a more happy division. That's the NFC North. Joe's Bears live in that division, so can't wait to hope springs eternal for the Bears once again. For was this the 5th year in a row we've done this?
There's no hope until they prove it anymore. I'm tired of living on hope.
I actually respect the hell out of that, Joe, because I don't think we would have done that 2 years ago or even when Caleb got there. But I don't know. Maybe this is finally the year. Thing is, I had to stop talking about Baker Mayfield, and then eventually it worked itself out. Joe and Baker's good now.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what you need to do with the Bears. You just need to stop hoping for them to be good, and then they'll start proving you wrong.
Yep.
Burn the Fields jersey. I think that'll lift the.
I should.
A ceremonial burning before the first game, maybe.
Yeah, don't do it out of rage. You're just doing it like we could play like taps or something along with it. Like it doesn't have to be angry, Not like my dad on Thanksgiving.
Jesus.
Lions fan for all those that don't know. It's tough childhood.
Okay, well, not to end on a dark note, but Bo Nix. We're going to circle back to this. His over-under on DraftKings right now for yards thrown is 3,425. So our 3,500 bet is actually right on the money with Vegas. That's about what they would do over-under-wise. So
Smashing.
Pretty good line. I
think that's actually really generous for a guy who literally went out and threw, 3,700 yards last year.
Something. Don't know why they would put it that low. Have no clue.
Jesus Christ. I'm not playing this anymore. I don't care enough.
That's fair. All right. Go Thunder. They're going to inevitably choke this. They're leading by 5 going into the third. I feel in my bones something bad happening.
They're down by 4 at half, so that's good.
Yeah, up by 5 now, so we'll see. But yeah. All right. We'll see you next week. Joe, get us out of here.
Good night.